All right.
Take two.
Take two, guys. We're back. We had a little audio difficulties there.
Oh, good old 2022.
Yeah, can't get a decent internet connection.
Can't get enough of you. Sorry, that just
what?
it was 2022. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing. Rhyming it up there. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. But hey, like we said last time, we're going to get into the coaching carousel predominantly with the Midwest because that's what we know and that's what we care about. But in case you guys missed it, a lot's going on with two historical powerhouses in the Midwest, Ohio State and Notre Dame. Okay. As well as an emerging, an emerging potential future powerhouse in the University of Cincinnati, run at the helm of Luke Fickell.
Big Dick Fick.
So
let's get it.
They are in with this little drama love triangle going on. And like we were talking, we were talking off air about it. It's weird because they're all connected and going after each other.
Yeah.
Like they're not going outside to bring people. Like they're literally like, oh, let me take you. Let me try to take you. Oh, you want him? Sure. Like, I don't know how I feel. I really don't know how I feel about it.
All right. So how I'm taking this, or what's kind of going through my mind is literally like three like big like family names, like just like picking at one each other. And it's just like, oh, I'll sell you little Billy here for Toby and for your horse. I'm just like, dude, it's the trades are ridiculous. I think
it's not even like they're actually trading.
Yeah, it's not even trading. It's just like signing contracts and stuff.
And like we were talking about off air. Oh man, excuse me. But like we were talking about off air it's really intertwined and all comes back to Ohio State because UC's head coach played at Ohio State. In case you guys don't know that, Fickell
coached at Ohio State.
He coached at Ohio State after he played. He played on a really good team with Mike Vrabel and Big Cat. Like that, the teams that Fickell was on at Ohio State, ridiculously good. I still am in utter disbelief that that they never won a national championship with that team. But he was on the coaching staff when they won a national championship. He was actually on the coaching staff, if I remember correctly, with both championships. He was on the staff for the 02 team, and then he was the coordinator for the 14-15 team. And then he coached at Ohio State the current Notre Dame coach, Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
So, and then they coached together at UC before Marcus left for Notre Dame. Yeah. So it's a family affair.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's one of those things that like I see all good things coming to all parties, and part of me is like,
you like it, but you don't.
I like it because I'm like, hey, that OSU like spirit / tree, tradition right? is like spreading, but then I'm also like, okay, we're trading our secrets to the enemy.
I know, right? Like
hey guys,
the only way it would be worse
switch something up.
Yeah, what would make it worse is if Michigan got some of them.
Bro,
that is so bad.
But I feel like you'd almost get disowned from the university. You'd probably get like a formal letter saying, hey,
it'd be like you're never
no longer
allowed on
a graduate.
We're revoking your degree. We're transferring all your credits to the University of Michigan.
Not even transferring. Not even transferring.
You just never went here.
Yeah, you just never went here. I accidentally Control-Alt deleted your profile.
Erase
Have a
all
good rest
the
of your
record
day.
books. Erase all the record books. No, didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't see you ever attended Ohio State here. We checked with their board of directors and not seeing anything there.
That would be so funny because that would actually be something that would be like thought about. But you mentioned the whole like we're trading secrets, and I think that's kind of what's going to happen with Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
I know off air you brought up that he's going to bring a different energy to Notre Dame. You know, we've talked about how Brian Kelly leaving them the way he did is just unacceptable by anybody. But I do think it was for the best because it allowed for that culture change with Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
I think they got the hire right, and I'm excited to see what he'll do. just I want him to lose his first road game as a Notre Dame head coach.
Yeah.
Because it's in Columbus. So
Hey.
but I do
I
think he's
mean,
gonna bring that energy.
I think I see. I think he'll definitely bring that shift, especially with like the offense and defense. I feel like Notre Dame, very traditional style, has not changed anything up for
Wisconsin
the
style.
past.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
um,
Wisconsin and Iowa. You know what you're gonna get.
yeah. And I think that, I mean, me and you have noticed it. Like Notre Dame's not hasn't done really anything. They blow out a lot of like no like
Yeah.
name teams. So it's like, all right, cool. You can blow these
Cool. You
guys
beat
out.
Navy. Cool.
Yeah,
You beat
it's like
Georgia Tech.
awesome.
Like,
When was the last time either of these teams won a national championship or a big bowl
yeah.
game?
What did you do against your big time opponents? Oh, you lost to UC and you lost to Oklahoma State. Thank
Yeah.
you. Right? Like, I mean, that's the reality of what's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, their loss in their bowl game, I mean, considering they're going through kind of a coaching change, and I don't think Freeman's going to be like, hey, so let's finish these last games like how Kelly would have wanted us to. He probably was like, hey, so I'm going to just start taking over now. So he's probably already started implementing new things. And plus, like with any kind of coaching shift, I feel like as a player, you feel a little like not necessarily betrayed, but you feel like kind of like there's that presence that's no longer there, and you're kind of trying to figure out how that presence is created with that new coach.
Oh yeah, and there's definitely some uncertainty with guys. It's like, okay, if he's going to change scheme a little bit, like, am I still fitting in? Like,
Exactly?
like, I understand that, like, I was recruited to come here, but did he want me here?
Yeah.
Right? Like Brian Kelly might have wanted me here, but did Marcus Freeman want me here? So yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely that uncertainty that you're talking about.
And I think that going forward, I mean, I think it can only be good things for Notre Dame. I mean, traditionally, they're not the worst team in like normal
They're not the
play.
worst, but they're not the best. Like,
Yeah. And I mean, I
they're
kind of want
above
to,
average. I
I
think
would
they're
like
above
to see
average.
the change though, where Notre Dame is actually back to being a top school. I know that kind of interferes with Ohio State being top dog and the ultimate goal. But I mean, if you're playing good teams and you're beating them, it's only good for competition. So I
Oh
mean,
yeah. No, I completely
like,
agree. I think that also comes back to the whole, we've mentioned when Notre Dame's winning games, it's better for college football.
yeah,
When Ohio
it
State and
really is.
Michigan, yeah, when Ohio State and Michigan are both undefeated going into the last game of the season, or they both have one loss, or one has one loss and one is undefeated, it's it's better for college football. If
Yeah.
Texas and Oklahoma can figure it out, mainly Texas, if Texas can become Texas again, if USC out in the Pac-12 can take over the Pac-12 again, it's going to be better for football. It's going to be better for college football. So yeah,
Yeah.
part of us are like, yeah, like we want you to do well. I would say this: I want him to have success. I never want Notre Dame to win another national championship, though. Simple as that. I
Yeah.
just don't want them. I don't like them.
Yeah.
So I don't want them to win a national championship.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think that I don't think they're going to be anything crazy anytime soon. I don't think they're going to be really contenders for the national championship. Probably within the next 5 years at least.
I say they got to get up
Um,
to recruiting of Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State
yeah,
first,
exactly.
right? Like,
And with Marcus Freeman coming in, he's going to have to kind of create his presence as being a head coach that you want to go and play for. He's
yeah,
coming from UC, smaller school, so he's not going to have as many of those hookups as like, oh, Nick Saban wants to go to
yeah, I
wherever.
got
he
you.
can bring everyone that was like, oh, I'm committed to Alabama. Once Nick Saban leaves, a lot of those commits are
Yes,
going with
yeah.
him.
Yeah, that's going
So
to be interesting. But you mentioned connections, right?
yeah.
So his connection, because I think that's a great segue to just go into like what he's doing, right, as a head
Yeah.
coach. So in case you guys missed it, he has hired away the special teams coach at UC to Notre Dame. Okay. So he took one of his buddies from UC, from Luke Fickell, brought him to Notre Dame. He is also bringing a well-known buddy from the Columbus area, The one and only, one of my favorite players growing
Hmm.
up. Okay, I had a jersey of him. I
Who
still
could
think
it
that
be?
he is one of the best linebackers to ever play the game in the scarlet and gray, and he's a huge advocate for the gray sleeves on the football jerseys. I'm all for it. Give me those throwback traditionals all season long. Okay, the one and only little animal, James Laurinaitis.
Let's go.
In case you missed it, James Laurinaitis is leaving Columbus, leaving his radio show. And he actually is, as of right now, he's been on the job for about a week and a half.
Yeah.
He's not a coach, he's an analyst, but
Hmm.
he'll do coaching here and
Oh
there, but
yeah.
he's not a full-blown, he's not like the linebackers coach just yet. He is an analyst, but he's on the Notre Dame staff. And you can't tell me that doesn't boost their defense.
Oh yeah. Dude,
Right?
if I hear like any, I mean, especially coming from Columbus and like growing up with Ohio State football, like James Laurinaitis is one of those
was
names where
Ohio
you're
State
like,
football. He was
yo,
Ohio State football, right?
yeah,
Like he was the face.
he was the face
He was,
of Ohio State football,
and
offense
I
or in
I
defense. It's
hate
like,
I hate that he was on the back-to-back national championship teams that lost, because
yeah,
out of all people, he deserved one, right?
yeah, dude was an animal. And
I
plus,
mean, his
like,
dad was the animal.
yeah. So I mean, like, it just like with that, there's so much like his history just with that name, and it's just going to South
Notre Dame.
Bend, and you're
I
like,
know. I know it's like bittersweet, right? Because
boy,
you're like, well, he's reconnecting with his best friend from college, because those two at the linebacker position were crazy good together. Yes, I mean they're part of the reason why we played for back-to-back national
yeah.
championships. I mean, in all honesty, yeah, we had Troy Smith, we had Ted Ginn,
But
but if the
like,
defense isn't going to stop, like if they're not going to stop people, you're not going to have a chance.
as we've seen
So,
with Oklahoma, I mean, sorry, I have to shoot shots, but I mean, you need a defense if you're gonna
yes,
be a
very,
contender.
very true. So, but yeah, like part of me is like, well, I hope he does well. I hope he enjoys it there. But at the same time, I'm like, really,
Yeah, you could have
Notre
like,
Dame?
you could have just like
Like,
drove down the street and just like,
you could have went and
come,
coached for
please,
Fickle.
please.
Yeah, but in addition to James, just last week actually, Marcus Freeman brought another former Buckeye, not a former player, a former coach. And this happened because, ready, the plot thickens, Notre Dame's D-line coach is going to Michigan.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
bring in another rival, right? Like, make this even like more messy. It's even messier at this point.
Just
The
like,
D-line
what?
coach for Notre Dame is going to Michigan.
That was one thing I was not expecting.
I didn't understand that one.
Yeah,
I
I was
guess
like,
I guess his alma mater is Michigan.
what? Why are you coaching at? No.
That's
What?
what, like, I'm pretty sure I saw his alma mater is Michigan. And
Bro.
he's been coaching like the last decade at Notre Dame. And so he's going back to Michigan. I was like, that's mixed feelings if I'm a Michigan fan.
Yeah.
That's very mixed feelings. But with that vacancy, Marcus Freeman went out and poached recently fired Al Washington.
My man.
Al Washington was the linebackers coach for the last, I think, 3 years for Ohio State.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the product was not what we wanted linebacker wise, but I will say this. I do like Al Washington. For all the people that don't like him, okay, you have your, you don't like him. I do like him. I like his recruiting. I thought he got dudes. The big thing is he came in when the linebackers sucked, right?
Yeah.
Dwayne Haskins' season, the linebackers were awful. He turned all 4 of those guys into NFL players.
Yeah.
All 4 of them are on current NFL teams. And now some of them, I think almost all of them are now, they're not in the postseason, so they're not playing. But all of them ended up on NFL teams. This season, 0 returning starters at the linebacker position.
Yeah.
We all knew it was going to be a weak spot. So that's the only thing that I don't like, is that we got rid of him. I know we got rid of him because the new D coordinator coaches linebackers as well.
Yeah.
So he was like, hey, this is my job. So, hit the road. So part of me is like, thankfully somebody snagged Al Washington
But
quickly.
now I'm like,
But
why
it's
not?
like,
Why?
yeah, right. So he's the D line coach now at Notre Dame.
That's gonna be.
So that's
Hey,
the
we'll find out
homecoming,
first
right?
week. First
First
week.
week. That's what,
Let's
like,
go, baby.
we can get
How
into
you
that.
doing?
Actually, let's just get into that right now. First week of the season, Notre Dame comes to Columbus, right? Homecoming for Marcus Freeman. Homecoming for James Laurinaitis. Homecoming for Al Washington. How many boos do you think there are?
None. If there is a boo, I would probably be like, yeah, you can leave. Because
I'm telling you this, it will be a hostile environment and there will not be any clapping. Because have you not seen Marcus Freeman's comments about taking the job at Notre Dame?
No, I haven't seen.
When asked about going to Notre Dame and, you know, how excited he is and everything, he brought up, you know, he was like saying, because for anybody who doesn't know, he was recruited. His last two schools, his top two schools were Ohio State and Notre Dame coming out of high school. Obviously, he chose Ohio State over Notre Dame. He went on record saying, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to be at Notre Dame a second time, especially when I should have never said no to them to begin with. Okay.
No.
That
No.
is why
no.
I think it will be a bloodbath. I don't think people are going to boo James Laurinaitis. If people boo Al Washington, it's just because the linebackers weren't great this past season and they can go suck it. Yeah. Okay. Those people can get over themselves. Marcus Freeman has brought on a war.
Dude, you just started a war that I don't know if he can handle.
That's what I'm saying is I think the boos, there will be a bunch of boos. There will not be any, oh, hey, how you doing? Good, so good to see you. And it will just be directed at Marcus Freeman.
But watch, like, I feel like the younger generation will be behind it and be super hostile about it. But like the older generation will be like, oh, we understand, we love you.
But it's gonna be mixed.
I definitely can see it being super hostile though.
And now there's even more hype for the game, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
And speaking of Ohio State, let's just circle right into Ohio State. So speaking of Ohio State, you know, obviously they got rid of Al Washington, so they had to bring in somebody, right? So Al Washington's out as linebacker coach. We just said Jim Knowles, the new D coordinator. He is going to be the linebackers coach as well. But with that vacancy, they could bring somebody in. Yep. Well, they went out and got former Ohio State great. Tim Walton, who has spent the last, I think they said 10 or 11 years at the NFL level.
Yeah.
And he will be the safeties coach. And one thing that I just did remember that I forgot to mention that we probably should have led with this. Tony Alford got promoted to running game coordinator for Ohio State. And Brian Hartline got promoted to passing game coordinator at Ohio State after Marcus Freeman offered him the same position at Notre Dame. So let's just add even more.
There's a little picking and prying I see going on here.
So let's just add more fuel to the fire, dude, right?
I guarantee Hartline was like, hey, Notre Dame just offered me this position. Can you match or not? And then if Ohio State said no, he was going to be like, all right, I'll see y'all later.
And I think that played a role because Brian Hartline is very much I went to Ohio State. I'm a Buckeye. I want to be a Buckeye for as long as I can. Yeah. Like coaching wise, like I don't want to be anywhere else unless I have to be.
Yeah.
But another interesting fact is Brian Hartline played with James and Marcus. I understand that he was on the offense and they were on the defense, but they were on the teams together.
Yeah.
They're still friends. So I think that adds more fuel to fire because then Buckeye Nation is going to be like, you legitimately try to poach us.
Oh,
like make your own staff. Don't be coming in here. Make your own staff. Stay in Indiana. Don't be coming to the alma mater.
If that I was an OSU coach right now.
Oh, I'm circling that date and I'm like, hey, this is rivalry. like 2.0 right now. Okay,
I
we'll
mean,
get
but
back
like,
to
I
Michigan,
really
but we're
can't
focusing on Notre
complain
Dame right now.
though, because like, if I was a coach though, and because how I've been feeling about the like culture shift at Ohio State, why not just shoot my shot, go to the Fighting Irish and play like my game, where I feel like at Ohio State, it's kind of a rocky path right now, considering,
This season will tell us
this,
which way we're going.
yeah,
That's the reality of
if
it.
this next season, if we're down in the dumps, there, ooh boy.
Yeah,
Ooh
this season will
boy.
tell us. But speaking of this season, so we just said Tim Walton, right?
Yep.
So he's the new safety coach, and then we also we also poached UC, and Perry Iliano is the
What's
new secondaries
poppin'?
coach. So
Thanks,
he
Vic. You're the bomb.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
he was one of the secondaries coach down at UC, and Ryan Day said, "Hey, how about you leave Luke Fickle and come up here?"
Yep.
Now, with that being said, Ohio State had to get rid of somebody, and unfortunately, Kerry Combs got the short end of the stick.
Bye, buddy.
Yeah,
Hope you find your
and
dad.
that's another guy that I
I
do truly love.
I
I
think he's
do.
a great coach.
I think he's
I
a great
mean,
recruiter as well.
just look at the defensive backs the past
Yes.
how long he's been there
And
for
I'm
8 years,
so glad you
right?
pointed that out, because that's what I've been trying to tell people is
It's like,
because a lot of people in Columbus are like, well, he brought it on himself. The defense sucked. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and say he's a great defensive coordinator. I've been saying all season, he's not a good defensive coordinator. It's too much, right? But
yeah,
he's a fantastic DB coach. Look what happened when he
exactly.
started focusing on the DBs again. That secondary got actually pretty darn good. And Bryson Shaw turned into a decent safety.
Yeah.
Like,
That
I
was
still
one
don't
thing
like
I
Bryson
honestly
Shaw that
was
much,
like on the
but
edge about. I didn't see him being a great safety,
and
but
I mean,
once
he
that
came up with a
attention,
big pick against
yeah,
Michigan that kept us in the game.
I
So
mean,
like
it
that's
wasn't
the thing
enough,
is,
but
yeah. But Kerry Combs is such a good recruiter, such a good defensive back coach, and such a great personality to have in the locker room. This loss does hurt.
yeah.
There is a silver lining though. Luke Fickle snagged him.
Yes, sir.
So he's going back home to Cincinnati, and he's already turned that recruiting trail around. I don't
Oh
know if
yeah.
you saw the news about that.
No, I didn't.
So there was a 5-star cornerback in the 2023 class,
Okay.
number 3 cornerback in the nation, actually.
Okay.
And he had his top 5. He was down to like Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, and I want to say like North Carolina. But he was
Okay.
down to like the final 5. And he was gonna commit on his birthday, which was about a week and a half ago. Well, a week and a half ago is when all the rumbling started that Kerry Combs might be on his way out at Ohio State. So he paused. He said, I'm not making a commitment just yet. Well,
My man.
it
My
if
man.
if Kerry Combs is about to get fired and this dude says, I'm not committing, you know what that tells me? He
He's
was
going
going to
where he's
commit to
going.
Ohio State, right? Like he
Yeah.
was going to commit to Ohio State. Well, my buddy sends me a text this morning. Kerry Combs was announced, I think, officially yesterday
Yeah.
as the new secondary coach for UC, which I love. I love that him and Fickle are back together. It's fantastic.
Let's go, baby.
It makes me like UC even more now.
Cats by 90.
Maybe Cats by pick 6. But this dude, this 5-star number 3 in the nation cornerback, committed to UC yesterday.
This is the
That
shift we need. This is the
that
shift we need for the Bearcats.
that is how important Kerry Combs is to recruiting.
Oh yeah.
And when asked, okay, his family was asked, like, why did you pause the recruitment? Like, that kind of tells you that you were going to commit to Ohio State. And now you're like, whoa, what's going on here? The dad said, Coach Combs, huge influencer in us, like big personality, big relationship with him. Like we have a great relationship. So like, yeah, this this plays a role in where, so and so wants to go. In addition to that, he pointed out that Jim Knowles was he's the new defense coordinator for Ohio State. He had been on the job for 10 days at that point and had not called them. He had not called them at all, not called the recruit. And they said, in the recruiting, this kid got offered by Oklahoma, but he was never offered by Oklahoma State. So they're like, if he's a new D coordinator, he never offered us at Oklahoma State. He never called us in the first 10 days of being the defensive coordinator. He probably just doesn't even want him. Yeah. So they said, you know what? We'll go with Coach Combs. And, good for UC. Good for UC.
I think this is kind of the shift that UC needs to kind of say, hey,
we can recruit with the big dogs.
Yeah, we're taking some big names. So, like, better watch out. See what happens.
Yeah, so I'm interested. I think recruiting-wise, that's the big thing why I said, last episode, I was like, give him a couple years. Give him a couple years in the Big 12. Let Fickell, let Combs show, hey, we're serious. We're going to go after 5 stars. We're not just going to get transfers. And I think give them a couple years and they're going to be.
They're going to be dogs.
I think they're going to be good. I do. I do think they're going to be good.
I think with all the changes, though, I know we've kind of already talked about Ohio State, how this next year is kind of going to be a big shift, or not necessarily a big shift. It could be a big shift, or it could be oh well, we're still the same team. Nothing changes.
Like, wow, this looks a lot like 2021.
Yeah, like or hey, maybe the changes they are making are for the best.
Maybe it works out. Yeah,
they become the Ohio State
that we're expecting.
Yeah, back-to-back championship contenders. But dude, you see Notre Dame.
Hey, it's heating up in the Midwest. Now we just need
Midwest
Penn State
is starting to get a little crazy.
Just imagine if we were to add UC and Notre Dame to the Big Ten with Penn State and Michigan. Whew, those top 5. The only thing that sucks is that we would all beat each other.
Oh yeah. So our records would be like very middle of the line. Yeah. But it'd be because we're all in competition for that top spot. So it's like,
part of me is okay with like Notre Dame not being right now. I would love just for the competitiveness, I would love for Notre Dame to join the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But for the next couple of years, I'm very interested because if Ohio State gets back to like we said, if these coaching changes help us like they're supposed to, or like they should, if we're back to what we expect, then you could argue for having an Ohio State, a Notre Dame, and a UC in the playoff in the next couple of years, which I think is great for the Midwest because it gives Penn State hope. It gives Michigan hope. It gives Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa. It gives all these Big 10 and, local Big 12 like Oklahoma State and Iowa State, gives them hope because then they can say, hey, we're playing really good football here.
Yeah.
Like we're playing really good brand of football. You can still come here, make some NIL money, and then go to the league. You don't have to go to the SEC and beat yourself up every single week.
Yeah,
we're still, you're still going to get beat up every single week because we're playing good football. But
I mean, look at
it's going to be interesting.
What was his name? The Ohio State quarterback. I already forgot about him. The 5-star that came early and then left.
Oh my God, Quinn Ewers.
Yeah,
he's dead to me.
Come on.
Sorry. I hope you fail.
I get it. Go get your bag. I get it.
The way he did it though, please go fail at Texas. Goodbye.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be any good at Texas. So hey.
No, he will be, but I just hope Texas sucks. I hope he's good, but Texas is just awful.
I mean, I feel like he needs a team that's actually decent for him to thrive. And I don't know.
He just wanted to go home.
That. He just Texas forever.
Oh yeah.
Come on, Riggins. Let's do it.
But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting though. I'm very excited. I'm very confused as well about all the Notre Dame, UC, and Ohio State love triangle, as well as Michigan kind of like poking their toe in there and be like, hey.
Next, you know, we're gonna be like, yeah, Ohio State owns part of Notre Dame and part of UC. They're actually just branch campuses
you
now.
can track half of Notre Dame staff and half of UC staff back to Ohio State. That'd be awesome. They're all alums. They're just
It's
all
like, yeah, we didn't want to go too far. We have a little circle that we have set up here, so you know, we just trade people around.
That's what we've heard about the Nick Saban tree, right? All of his coaches. Now we're starting to see the start of the Ohio State tree.
Yeah,
okay?
But
that
does it start with
Tressel?
Does it start with the OG?
Oh, it started with Tressel. Okay, I think it started with Tressel and evolved with Meyer, and then we're gonna see which way Ryan Day goes.
Yeah.
I really think that's what it is, though, is that it started with Tressel.
But like, part of me is like, this isn't gonna go well.
Like, it's not gonna go well because we're bringing that hardcore mentality and that like blitzkrieg, you know, hybrid of really fast and really strong. Dog is playing with toys. But you know, that kind of like what Urban Meyer and Tressel try to like, you know, take some of the Pac-12 and some of the SEC and really make into that juggernaut. Now UC has it, and now Notre Dame has it. And we're just going to see how they play with it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a fun time to be a Midwest football.
See some
if you're a Midwest football fan, you know? This is a great time.
Let's go.
Hey, but I'm circling that date. Good old Marcus boy to come back and get his ass kicked. Let's go. But like, I'm ready, dude. I'm ready. Let's have it tomorrow.
But like, what if? What if? I don't think about it. What if? Dude, what if?
That's gonna be so sad. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry if Notre Dame wins.
I will sit there and just laugh my ass off and go, hey.
I think if
Nick, what's good, bud?
If that happens, I think then Ryan Day's on the hot seat.
Oh yeah, no, dude, he's gonna be on that chopping block for that next week.
Because then you're talking about your last game against Michigan, you lost. Your only game against Notre Dame at home, then other like powerhouse of the Midwest, you lost.
Yeah, right? It's like, hey, buddy.
We'll deal with that when we
cross. Right in there.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Coaching carousel is always crazy, but I'm ready for that next year.
Who's to say we're not going to see a bunch of changes come up here in the next couple of weeks, you know, as we're like some last minute changes, you know, so who knows? I think right now I'm very interested in seeing UC and Notre Dame, what they bring to the table next year with all the Ohio State alumni there. I kind of want to see what they do with the offense and defense. I wonder if they're going to keep the same style, or if they're gonna
tune into those NBC
swap
games.
It up a little bit. Yeah, NBC, let's go. That'll be a switch up.
But if you guys at home have any other coaching carousel that, you know, like I said before, we're not really tuned into the SEC like we are in the Midwest. So if you guys know anything that we don't, or you see an interesting developing story and love triangle like we talked about today, hit us up, let us know about it. I think as of right now, we're planning on next week we're going to go in a different route because college football is now over. I know spring practice comes up, but we're not going to be talking about that for a while, and it's really hard to stay on top of college basketball unless you're doing something every single day.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like we might be able to do something for like a daily poll or something, like a quick little video, but that'll be something.
Hit us up, let us know what you think that we could do. But I was speaking of basketball, so we're recording this on the 19th. Duke lost.
Yeah,
Duke lost in overtime, and Ohio State won by 50 against IUPUI. So go Bucks, right? But I think we are thinking next time we're going to kick off our movie series, where we break down a movie franchise. Do you want to tell the fans?
I don't know. I kind of want to like have them just wait till next week, get into it. Okay. I mean, I just don't want to spoil anything. But
okay, don't spoil anything.
I'll give them a little hint. You know, we have talked about this series on the podcast before. It is one that I haven't seen in completion.
Yeah, I know.
And I feel
Loser.
like that's
All
a
right.
pretty good one. I actually have it up right now.
Yeah, he's about to go
Once
watch it after we're done with this.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna start editing and start watching the movie. So let's
Yeah.
get
So
into
hey,
this.
next time we will welcome you to Schmac Talk.
Have a good one.